Hello, Excel Sports. This is Nicole Legler, sports dietitian with Always in Motion Nutrition, partnering here with Excel Sports on our Team Talk series. We today are going to be discussing game day fueling. Let's get started. If you watched our Performance Plates Team Talk, this graphic should look familiar as we discussed different ways to adapt your plates based on your training schedule. So in that team talk, we discussed that easy training day or rest days, moderate training days, which is our typical practice schedule, and then this hard training like a 2-a-day or competition game day. Today, as we're discussing game day fueling, this is the performance plate that we're going to be focusing on. So for our game days, we're typically spending 2 hours total or more of activity. That's between warm up, competition itself, potential cool downs, or anything else activity-wise you have throughout that day. From a nutrition standpoint, our goals is that to create the plate, we really want to be focusing on carbohydrates. So about a quarter of our plate should be coming from color. That's the fruit and vegetables in our day. 50% should be coming from grains. So that's the pasta, rice, potatoes, cereals, breads, oatmeals, etc. And another quarter coming from our protein sources. And the reason being so is because we know that carbohydrates is our main fueling source for sports performance. And so for game day specifically, by consuming plenty of carbohydrates throughout the day, we're supporting our body and giving our body the most usable energy for competition. The objectives for our game day fueling, and this is what we're setting our body up to do, is that it's providing the body with usable energy. Again, those carbohydrates are then going to be used for game day, giving us the energy that we need to get through a successful game and competition. We also want to get hydrated so that we're going to prevent any cramping and we're able to lock in all the things that hydration does for us, which is covered more in our hydration team talk. Then we're going to also improve our athletic capacity. So if we have enough fuel in our body, our gas tank is full and we have the max amount of capacity for performance. It also helps to improve focus. And so when we're running out of fuel, our focus, our brain usage, which functions also off of carbohydrates, starts to dwindle. So we want to make sure we have enough energy for that brain function, also functioning off of carbohydrates. And we're also looking to preserve muscle mass because if we push our bodies in a competition without enough fuel, our muscles will tend to break down to give the body the energy needed for competition. So by consuming enough, we're using our food as fuel for competition. So fueling timeline, this is kind of where I want you to start thinking about your typical timeline at school or in the off season if you have competition then, and recognizing how much time do you typically have before game start time. So not warm up, but really that game start time. And you likely before that are going to need both a meal and a snack. Unless you have an early morning game, you might just need that quick fuel before game time. And so if you have 3 to 4 hours before game time, we want you to be consuming a full meal. That's a great source of protein, whether that's from animal or plant-based, complex carbohydrates, that's those whole grains, pastas, oats, and breads, and fruit and potentially vegetables, as well as a full, well-balanced meal with some healthy fats there as well. This could be a typical school lunch, a rice bowl with some protein in it, a sandwich with fruits and pretzels, something that we're getting food from all food groups here. Because we have plenty of time to digest, if you have 3 to 4 hours, let's get that full large meal into your system because you have plenty of time to digest before the game. If you only have 2 hours before, we want to take some fat and fiber away because those are what's going to slow digestion down. So if you only have 2 hours, we really want to prioritize just protein and carbohydrates mostly and keeping it low in fat and fiber. This could be something like a Greek yogurt parfait, a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, a protein bar, granola bar, maybe a protein smoothie, something that can digest pretty quickly, gives you some protein and really emphasis on the carbohydrates. And then if you have less than that, or maybe you had a meal 3 to 4 hours prior, and then it's time for a snack 30 to 60 minutes before game time, this is when we really want quick carbs, something that can digest in your body quickly. You may feel like you have a bigger snack or a snack that has more fat or fiber in that right now, and you might not feel the effects of it, but I would encourage you to really try to adapt to get something just quick carbohydrates and see how much better your body can respond and focusing on just carbohydrates in that 30 to 60 minute window before the game time. Because if you're having something outside of carbohydrates, it's slowing down digestion. So having a quick carb like fruit snacks, dried fruit, a whole fruit like a banana, apple, or a fruit bar, something like pretzels or crackers that has some sodium in it too, that salt, and some quick carbohydrates, or even a sports drink, which is going to be that liquid carbohydrate as well as electrolytes. All are great options when you're pinched for time to get some quick carbohydrates. Also, like I said, if you have 3 to 4 hours before, have that full meal, and then also top off that gas tank with some quick carbs 30 minutes before game time. Hydration covered more again in that team talk that we've already talked more in depth on hydration. But for game day specifically, we're looking to have about 12 to 24 ounces of plain water the few hours leading up to game time. Within 30 to 60 minutes, more sips of water there, just somewhere between 8 to 12 ounces should do it if you're already coming into game time hydrated, plus some possible electrolytes or a sports drink. Again, quick carbohydrates and get some electrolytes into your system pre-game time. And then if you're not going to do that, if you're going to just stick to plain water, you might want to consider some pretzels or any other salty based snack if you're not adding electrolytes. During the competition, we want to take 2 to 3 gulps as able every 15 to 30 minutes. So if you're on the sidelines, pulled out of the game, if you have a break or a timeout, trying to take a few gulps of water just to keep that hydration going. At that point, our bodies should be already hydrated. So during competition, we're just trying to replenish any fluid loss and keep our body stable. That's why leading up to competition, we want to make sure you're well hydrated the hours leading up to competition so that during game time, it's just rehydrating as needed, which is just a few sips, couple gulps every 15 to 30 minutes. Also, we might want to consider adding electrolytes, especially if you're within those 4 H's. So a recap of those is if you're competing longer than an hour, if it's hot outside and you're competing in an outdoor sports, if you're a heavy sweater, or if it's high intensity, which most game days are. So if you fall into any of that category, electrolytes are likely going to be beneficial for you in keeping you well hydrated. Main takeaways to focus on here and how to make it work is for fueling specifically, the 24 hours leading up to game days, that's where we really want to make that plate 50% carbohydrates, really load in on the carbohydrates, 25% protein, and 25% color, those fruits and vegetables. Adapt your food choices based on how much time you have before the game. So that may require you to adapt your lunch, maybe pack a snack if able to add to lunch or during the day to get some more carbohydrates through the day, or just choosing portions a little bit differently to meet that competition day fueling plate. Focus on those quick carbs and hydration within 2 hours before. So that window leading up to your competition, we really want to get some quick carbohydrates that your body can easily digest and use for energy, and make sure that you're properly hydrated going into the game. You may need to pack a snack for after school as well if you are able to. If you're going from school into competition, that would be a great time after school to have a snack leading into warm-ups into competition to get some extra fuel in your body. If you're not able to have a snack at school, have a fruit-based snack on the way to warm up. That could be something as quick as an orange juice, a Gatorade, a fruit bar, some dried fruit, a banana, something kind of right on your way if you're not able to snack specifically at school. Again, the closer you are to game time, the quicker we want it to digest. So that's where a sports drink becomes an awesome option. Check out Excel Sports and printable resources, because next up, starting next week, if you're watching this live as it gets added onto Excel Sports, or if you're recapping it, check out our printable resources page on Excel Sports, because there is going to be a handout for student athletes specifically to fill out your own game day fueling. So taking this information that you learned today, let's translate into how is it going to impact your game day. So coaches and ADs, check out Excel Sports, our printable resource section, for that handout for student athletes to fill out what their game day competition fueling plan is. If you have any questions, my contact information is attached. Would love to hear how things are going for you and your team. But if not, stay fueled, stay hydrated, and go Excel.